Now come on, if we spend some time together, I would feel much better. Now come on, break.
30 seconds and counting.
There were plenty of years where there were guys who would dread being drafted by the Buffalo Bills. Not anymore.
Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds.
Brandon Beane realizes they're in a window of 2 to 3 years max to get this done while the iron's still hot. And getting Von Miller into that situation was big for the Bills.
10, 9.
Oh, baby.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Great interview, guys.
Oh, baby! What is up, Buffalo Fanatics? C-Bot here with you, live on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel on a Thursday afternoon. And that, of course, can only mean one thing. It is the Smoke Break, powered by BetUS, where the game begins. Receive a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,500 using the promo code JOIN125 via the link in the description below. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. The wait is over. It is officially round 1 of the 2024 NFL Draft. Today is the day. Today is the beginning of the next chapter of the Buffalo Bills as Brandon Beane and those said Buffalo Bills get set to take the podium at some point tonight. We don't know when. We don't know where. As of right now, it's pick 28. We'll see if that changes. But tonight, hopefully, a pick is made by the Buffalo Bills. They could potentially trade back and pick tomorrow. We have no clue. But all the answers to our questions should be answered tonight. And we've had several questions leading up to today. It's all we've had, really. We've been left with question after question with a very topsy-turvy offseason, losing a variety of players we've come to know and love on these Buffalo Bills for the last 6 or 7 years. This is the time to reset. We've been getting prepared for this moment, and here it is. Tonight is the night the Buffalo Bills get set to take that next leap with Josh Allen. Hopefully surround him with young pieces that are going to be able to take these Buffalo Bills into the next window and be as competitive as they've been throughout the duration of Josh Allen's tenure here. We are about, 7.5 hours away from the first. I don't know. I always wonder who comes up with these jingles. They got to be sitting on a mountain somewhere, on a hill somewhere. It's genius. Somebody actually sat down and created that. I always forget these things, like the iconic theme songs for CBS afternoon football, Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, the draft jingle, little ding-ding thing there. Somebody came up with that. Wish that was my gig, right? On the other hand, though, there are some that really make you question whether or not that should be a job at all, like the BK song, right? That guy. I heard that guy got steak in the company for coming up with that jingle because of how much they play it and how much you can't forget it every time you hear it. But nothing more iconic to me than hearing that draft jingle. That's when you know things are about to go down. As it stands right now, the Chicago Bears are on the clock. They've had their pick in for months now. And we all know that Caleb Williams will be the first to take the stage. It's very likely that Jaden Daniels will be next to take the stage for the Washington Commanders. It just came out this afternoon. There was talks about the potential for the New England Patriots to trade out of pick 3. The talks are circulating right now that the New England Patriots are going to stay put at pick 3 and take Drake May. So barring any unforeseen circumstance here, it's looking like the first 3 picks are going to go quarterback, quarterback, quarterback. We'll more than likely see Marvin Harrison Jr. off the board at 4 to the Arizona Cardinals. And then that's when it starts getting awfully interesting. You get to the LA Chargers. They certainly need a wide receiver, but is that something that Harbaugh is going to want to go towards with his first pick as the head coach of the LA Chargers? It doesn't feel like it's his mantra. And based on the mock drafts that we've been seeing, it looks like they could very likely go offensive line. So that to me is where things start to get interesting. It could, of course, get interesting earlier than that, but I feel like based on where we're at right now, handful of hours away from the draft, it feels like the first 4 picks are pretty much set in stone. Then we'll see what happens. It starts with the LA Chargers, and then we take it from there. So, Brandon Beane, biggest day of the year for the general manager of the Buffalo Bills, all general managers in the NFL. It's a culmination of a ton of hard work. I don't know if these guys get enough credit for how much work is involved going into a night like tonight. When you think of an NFL GM, you think of course, all the moves that are made, the offseason acquisitions, the trades, the contracts, this and that. But all the legwork, all the back end stuff that we don't see that goes into tonight. I can't imagine that Brandon Beane has gotten a full night's sleep the last month or so, especially this past week. And we have been hearing that he was working the phones throughout the week here. So it is interesting because as I spoke with you yesterday about the rumors were starting to circulate more and more heavily. Brandon Beane was taking phone calls. He was trying to shop around, seeing if somebody was going to be able to work with him to trade up in the draft. That, to me, is where I'm leaning. That seems to be where others are leaning as well. But one reliable source who's very, very spot on his mock drafts year in and year out, very tapped into the league and does an extraordinary job covering the league, is, of course, Daniel Jeremiah via NFL Network. And he just released his mock draft 4.0, obviously the final mock draft he comes out with, the one where he feels he's the most confident in how the draft falls. Figured I'd share that with you because he does not have the Bills trading up. And he also does note if they do trade up, he feels like it will be marginally, and it will be for Brian Thomas Jr. So we saw a lot of rumors coming out yesterday about Beane trying to potentially get up into the mid-teens, maybe the early 20s, maybe even further than that. Daniel Jeremiah comes out with his final mock drafts. He thinks the Bills can get Brian Thomas Jr. at 28. I personally think that might be a bit of a stretch. I think it would be an awfully big gamble for Brandon Beane if he wants Brian Thomas Jr., right? If Brandon Beane's eyes are set on Brian Thomas Jr. going into round 1 tonight, I feel like it would be an awfully risky roll of the dice to anticipate him falling to you at 28. And Daniel Jeremiah does say, quote, I could also see Buffalo trading back and trying to land a couple of receivers early on in either the second round or the third round. So he's kind of feeling two things here. He's thinking Brian Thomas Jr. He does have the pick set for them at 28, but before he talks about trading back, he says it wouldn't surprise him if the Bills move up for him. So based on what Daniel Jeremiah is hearing, he feels that Brian Thomas Jr. is the play tonight. I wonder, I'll ask the chat, I wonder how you guys feel. Would you be satisfied with Brian Thomas Jr. tonight, or would you rather trade back and try to get a couple of guys in either the second round or early third round? That's something that I feel like has gone further and further away from the center of the talking points as of late, the idea of trading back. But there's something to be said about it if the Bills do not end up trading upward. If they do wind up taking their time, letting the board fall, and staying at 28 or right around that area, there's something to be said about the idea of trading back and taking 2 lottery tickets as opposed to putting all your chips on one. So he's feeling that there could be a trade in either direction, or staying at 28, but regardless, he feels wide receiver is the play, as most all of us do. He feels that Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be the pick for the Bills tonight in round 1. By the way, taking your phone calls, I forgot to mention at the top of the show, no Rico this afternoon. I'm devastated. I wanted to get into all of this before we hop on tonight, but Jenna, Rico's wife, is working, so Rico is on babysitting duty this afternoon. He gives his love. He said he wishes he could have made it. I wish he could have too, but don't worry. We got you covered tonight. If you have not heard by now, we got you on lock for tonight, and it's going to be an absolute blast right here on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel. We will be streaming the entire first round live with a full panel. Me, Rico, Pierre, all the boys will be reacting in real time. It's one of the best nights of the year. We have a ball every year, and we hope you guys can join us tonight. So we'll all be around for that. We'll all be sitting around waiting patiently to see what the Bills do, and hopefully be entertained throughout the duration of the entirety of the first round, because as it sits right now, the anticipation and the idea of this draft being pretty wild is starting to come to fruition. From what we've been hearing, it feels like tonight could be a pretty damn wild night, and we're really excited to share it with you right here on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel. So make sure to join us tonight at 8. Taking your phone calls this afternoon. I want to hear what you guys think is going to happen tonight. You got one last chance to get it off your chest. Put your predictions out there before it winds up becoming concrete. The link to call in is in the live comment section, pinned to the top. If you want to call in, just click that link and you'll be able to hop on with me. We'll get into our first phone call right now, and it's my main man, Andy. Andy, brother, happy draft day. How you feeling today?
Oh, I feel great. I love draft day. So it's just waiting around for it to start.
That's the key. That's the key. We've waited long. It's like everything else. You wait months, and then when it comes down to the final hours, those are the ones that feel that they're the slowest. There's the kitty. What's the kitty's name again?
Mew.
Mew. Oh, that's easy. Is that short for meow?
Mew, like the Pokemon.
Oh, like the Pokemon. I'm not a big Pokemon guy, so I don't know which one's Mew.
It's the kind of little pink one from like the first movie, like the original ones.
I'll tell you, I'm fascinated by the card collections and stuff. I'll get those videos that pop up on my YouTube from time to time, but I don't know a damn thing other than Pikachu. So Andy, talk to me. We're 7-ish hours away here. What do you want to happen? What do you think happens?
I want them to go get Roma Dunze.
Mm-hmm.
I think we end up with McConkey, and I'm fine with that.
Lad McConkey. That's what you think winds up happening tonight for the Bills.
Yeah, I think somebody's going to take Brian Thomas before we get a chance at him, and we've met with McConkey so many times, it just makes sense that they'll take him.
Do you think that they sit at 28 and that's how it falls, or they wind up moving up a little bit to get him, move back a little bit?
They'll probably move up a little bit just to make sure they get their guy.
I think
he don't sit around when he knows he's, it's like, damn, there's somebody else might take him. I better go up and get him. Just like how we saw last year when he jumped up in front of Dallas and stole Kincaid.
Yes, that was great, wasn't it?
I go back and review Skip Bayless's tweets about it all the time.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. That's a good point. He was geeking out. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. That whole scene. It was great to get Kincaid in itself, but the fact that they did it at the expense of Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys made it 10 times better.
Just them, once the pick was made and them going to Dallas's war room and they're sitting there just like, what do we do?
Yeah.
Was great.
Before I let you go, Andy, what's one thing tonight that you'd leave the draft with saying, man, I don't know how good I feel about that?
A.D. Mitchell.
Really? Tell me why.
I don't like the Texas boys. I don't know. There's something about them, and especially Mitchell, and with all the stuff that's come out about his attitude and I just feel like he's not a Bills type of pick. And
you're out on Worthy, then I take it too, if you're out on the Texas boys.
I could talk myself into having that kind of speed, but I ain't super high on it either.
I hear you. You joining us tonight? You'll be around?
Oh, yeah.
All right. I love it. Well, Andy, we look forward to having you tonight. Thanks as always for calling in, brother.
Anytime.
Much love. Appreciate you, Andy. So Andy's thinking He's thinking wide receiver like all of us, but he's thinking Lad McConkey. It's funny. I've been very intrigued by the idea of Lad McConkey. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be an instant success in this league. I just feel like he's got the skill set that is going to be an instant hit in the NFL, no matter where he goes, especially if he ends up going to a team like the Bills with an elite quarterback. He's been mocked to the Kansas City Chiefs as well. I was talking with Kevin Massari on the AFC East roundtable about this, and he made the point that it's almost a guy you'd love to take in that position just to not allow him to go to the Chiefs. And it's a great point when you think about it, because the guy has those type of qualities to be able to come in with that type of offense, with that type of quarterback, and succeed instantly. But when you're looking at a lot of these mock drafts that have been circulating around from the insiders and the guys in the know, haven't really seen anybody target in on Lad McConkey for these Buffalo Bills. So as it stands right now, I would be a bit surprised to see the Bills go that angle. But you never know. At the end of the day, the biggest surprise of everything would just be the leaving the evening without a wide receiver. And I think there's some level of surprise to me. There would be some level of surprise to me if the Bills did trade back. I just don't see it happening. I know I just mentioned that Daniel Jeremiah said it was something that could potentially happen if they want to double dip at wide receiver. Here's the thing with the idea of trading back. One, and this is just pure selfishness when it comes to the moment. You know, like it could benefit the Bills greatly in the future. But of course, when you wait all year for the draft and it gets up to tonight and you're dying to see who the Bills are going to take, especially in a draft like this, that's been one of the more anticipated drafts for these Buffalo Bills in some time, just based on how this offseason has unfolded, it would be a real blow to the balls. I feel like if the Bills traded back, it would suck. Right. But the other reason why I don't know if that mindset surrounding the double dip in the second round or third round for wide receiver makes sense is I don't know if I see Brandon Beane going back-to-back wide receiver in the second round. Just because he trades back doesn't necessarily mean that's going to guarantee you two chances at a wideout. I mean, it does give you the chance to get two wideouts should you want it. But when you think about it, when you say it out loud, do you really see Brandon Beane picking the same positional group, especially offensively, where they have neglected to do this year in and year out? Do you really see them going back-to-back wide receiver within one round, or maybe the second and third round? I don't. I think that they end up making a pick tonight. I think the biggest question is just where they end up making that pick. I don't think they end up trading back. The only way I could see it happening is if there's an unprecedented run at the wide receiver position when they get into the mid to late teens, early 20s, and it just feels like the value isn't there, and they have somebody willing to give up a spot to get to 28. If it all works out and it makes sense, then maybe I could see it. But that's the only way I could see it unfolding, is if there are a bunch of guys off the board earlier than anticipated, and Brandon Beane's just looking at it thinking, well, at this point, the value I'm going to get for a wide receiver at 28 is probably equal value in the second round, and if I can get more assets for it, then I will. I mean, they don't have a third round as it stands, and I would imagine that at some point, Brandon Beane's going to want to get back into the third round. He's got a ton of late round picks, a lot of day 3 picks that are stacked up, and I'm anticipating at some point those get packaged together to try and move up a bit more, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. The main focus is on tonight and what ends up happening. By the way, like I keep saying, we are taking your phone calls this afternoon, dying to hear what you guys are thinking. It's finally the day. We've been sharing our thoughts for months. You finally have, you got to lock it in. You got to hit the button, deal or no deal. You got to smack it down and lock in what you think is going to happen tonight, because we're just around the corner from finding out. Let's go to Stanton, who's waiting in the background. Stan, what's happening, brother? Welcome on.
What is going on?
Happy draft day, brother.
Yeah. So I've been last season, I should say, I was talking a lot with Richie, Jets Media.
Mm-hmm.
But I think tonight, man, it's for me. I think this is like the most important draft the Bills have ever had. Wide receiver, man. I put in the chat, man. I was like, I'm so like at this point, I'm really confused, like who we're really gonna take. Because in my opinion, there's so many choices we could, pick from. A lot of people want that Xavier Worthy guy who's like really fast, but I mean, like he's got the speed, but it's basically like it's a take it or bust at this point. And I'm hoping that Brandon Bean, he has a plan in place because there have been times where I've questioned some of his decisions. And I feel like the last few drafts he's gotten like he last year Dalton Kincaid, great choice. I was super pumped about that one. 2 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago, we lost Breece Hall. I was really angry about that when we lost him to the Jets. But man, in my opinion, tonight is going to decide whether the Bills stay competitive or we just. A lot of people, if we don't get this right, a lot of people are just going to – it's kind of making me angry that they're saying, oh, yeah, the Jets are now the best team. It's like the Jets, I mean, all respect to, Richie and his team, but, like, at the end of the day, the Jets really haven't, done much to prove that they're a threat. I mean, they have good players, but, they've picking up a lot of players that are very injury-prone.
Let me
Especially
tell you this, Dan. I will say this. No matter what happens tonight, I think you can hit the pillow with a bit of ease knowing no matter what happens tonight, the Bills are not any worse than the New York Jets. So do not listen to anybody who's telling you the Bills are finishing third in the AFC East. We will believe that when we hear it. But you brought up a good point, and I agree with you. I think that this draft is one of the biggest in Brandon Beane's tenure here, if not the biggest outside of course, the draft where he winds up getting Josh Allen. I think that this is the next chapter, and it's being the foundation is being laid starting tonight. And that's a lot of pressure on Brandon Beane. And if he gets it right, it could be an extraordinary next wave here. If he doesn't, it could be a step back compared to what we've seen. You brought up the amount of wide receivers, and I think what you said was interesting because there's a benefit and a disadvantage to the amount of wide receivers that are available tonight. The benefit is that the Bills need one, and there's a ton of great ones on the board. So they're inevitably going to be able to get at least one of these guys. But the disadvantage is, one, the more guys there are, the more likely a bunch of these guys aren't going to work out as much as they might work out. And the other one is that you have no idea what that answer is going to be. So you have all of these choices. The more choices you have, oftentimes it might be harder to find the right answer. So I ask you, Stan, if it were up to you tonight, I can tell you're obviously leaning wide receiver. Is there anybody in particular that you hope the Bills wind up putting in for tonight and walking away with at the end of the first round here?
So I can't really I got a phone call that came in, Z-Bot, so I can't really hear you, but
no worries, brother. It's mid afternoon on a Thursday. We got business to take care of. Go ahead.
I love the Buffalo Fanatics. I like, and I'm just gonna make this real quick. Tonight, like I said, everything you like, even though I can't hear you, I'm gonna just agree with everything you say because I usually do. 100%. You're like the guy who keeps it real. You tell how it is, bro. A lot of people I see attack you for it because they say, "Oh, Z-Bot he's not a real Buffalo fan, man." He just like same with me, bro. I'm a realist. I tell how it is. Like I got so much hate last year because I was telling people like, "Yo, halfway through the season, the Bills are not a good football team," and people were getting mad at me, saying, "You're not a true believer." But at the end of the day, man, Bills Mafia for life. I'm planning on going a few games live this coming season. I just hope we get it right, bro, because I need that Super Bowl. Josh Allen's got to win one with the Buffalo Bills. If he serves up his contract, bro, and he goes to a different team, he wins one with a different team. I don't even know what I'm gonna do at that point. I might lose my sanity. That's gonna be the worst day of my life if that happens.
Stan, don't worry about any of that.
I love you, bro. Peace out, man.
Much love, bro. Stan apparently couldn't hear a word I was saying, but he said if I said anything, he would agree with it. I mean, how can he not like that? How about that? What a guy. Stanton calls in. He doesn't know what's going to happen tonight. He's worried that Josh Allen's not going to be a Buffalo Bill. He's worried the Jets are going to be better than the Bills. I'll tell you this right now. There's two things you don't have to worry about tonight. It's those two things. Worry about getting the wide receiver right. We'll take the rest from there. But Stanton, loved that. That was great. Apparently he was on the other line. It's Thursday afternoon. People are working. Who the hell knows? God knows Brandon Beane's working. Hopefully working towards getting the right answer. And that right answer We don't know what it's going to be. Maybe Bartek knows what it's going to be. BT, you got the neon vest on. Are you on your lunch break right now? What's happening?
Yeah, I'm at work right now. I'm at the construction site, but I'm I'm the I just gotta observe the the construction. I'm the on-site representative for my company.
So you're the designated observer, aka you're the guy who sits there and doesn't do anything, gets paid all the money. You're getting the big bucks.
Pretty much, Can't.
I'm telling you, BT, you got it all figured out. So tell me this: what's happening tonight? What do you want to happen? What do you think happens?
So here's the thing. I'll be honest. So I was thinking about this last night, right? I was like, so we do all these. This is what it boils down to, right? We do all these content creators. I know you guys do all this. We dedicate so much time to doing these mock drafts, right? To who we're gonna use and all this. And at the end of the day, we never know, right? We obviously, there's people who get paid to do this, to actually come up with this. But one thing, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge college guy. I don't follow it too much. Obviously, once the draft comes around, I hear all these names, Adunze, Neighbors, all these guys, right? But the thing is, what I think is sets apart, like once we make the pick, that's when I start looking into the guy. And I'm a true believer is like, anyone who's played sports, right? They know that let's be honest, all these guys, right, who are in the NFL draft, they're freak athletes, right? So what sets them apart, in my opinion, and what I truly believe, what sets people apart in at that level is their mentality. And that's what these guys, when they interview, when they talk to teams, and that's what I'm sure they're asking these questions, how you got brought up, how you're, what your thought process is, what your mentality is, the type of person that you are. And that's what I do love about Brandon Beane and McDermott, how they always reiterate that's the type of people they're looking for, is to fit the culture. And I genuinely believe that it's like a guy, like that's how you get those guys, right? In the 5th round, Nakua, these guys, Brady and all, just, all these late round picks that end up being studs is because what sets them apart is their mentality, so I'm a full believer in that. I don't know. I'm sure you agree to a certain.
So you're looking for the classic Bills player tonight. Immediately, a guy who's going to be an impact, but also is that character guy. That's what you're looking for.
I haven't watched any of these guys that were projected with Worthy or the couple of the other names, whether we trade up or not, but like Leggett or whatever it is. But so I haven't watched them. What I'm curious to see is I'm sure there's tape out there of their interviews and stuff like that, And so I'm just not stressing about it too much. I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. I'm tuning in, of course, but I'm just I'm hoping that they're doing that due diligence of finding that, when we got who'd we get last year? Terrell Bernard, right? When we got him, right, it was people were this. But then when I saw, after we got drafted, I saw an interview with him, and he was talking about how his dad, right, is in the military, and how he grew up in that mindset, and how he's, disciplined and all that. And I knew, I'm not even kidding. I literally, when I heard that, when he was talking, the way he was talking, I knew that he was going to be a stud. I wasn't okay. I'm not going to lie, be oh, he's going to turn out to the leader he is. But I was this guy is going to be someone that we'll be able to depend on, because, and I'm not saying that's only people.
You instantly said Tremaine Edmonds. Who?
No, not Tremaine Edmonds.
No, I know, but you said Edmonds. Who? We don't need this guy. We got Bernard. It's over.
Exactly. The way he was talking, how disciplined he is. I mean, now you could even see the way he's going about his off season and all that. He's locked in, and it's that stems. I'm not saying everyone who has a family in the military, whatever, is going to be like that, or people who aren't are going to be like that. But my point is, though, just from that interview, I remember it was a couple days after, within the draft, and he was talking about it, and I was
you got a vibe from him. You got a vibe. It's not even about the military thing. You just got a vibe. Sometimes BT, you just know. Sometimes you can tell. Based on the way a guy carries himself, a guy takes a podium, the way he interacts with people, whether they're, a fan or, an opponent, a player, that it speaks volumes. It speaks a ton to the organization and, of course, that personal player's character. And I think that means a lot to these Buffalo Bills. Don't get it twisted. If the Bills, if you were making make a player right on like 2K and you had character attributes, Brandon Beane is going to look at the character attribute a bit more than I would think he's going to. If the talent and character gap is like this, and he's got to choose between the guy with a little more talent and less character, or a little more character and a little less talent, he's going to go with the guy with a little bit more character, because that's the guy who inevitably can work himself in to overcoming a little less talent. So I see what you're saying completely. I think that's totally on the mind of Brandon Beane in every pick that he makes. And I know for a fact that's going to be on the mind of his tonight, because when we've been hearing about the potential for the Bills going wide receiver in round 1, we've been hearing that this is a big key, a guy that's going to be able to come in and not only be a success on this offense, but also be able to blend right into this culture. That's going to be very, very critical for these Bills. They have just lost the vast majority of their captains. They cannot afford to bring in guys that are going to be an issue. We've seen what it's like with issues, and we've eradicated the issues. This new wave, it's a big task for Josh Allen, and it's a big task for these young guys to be able to follow the wave. So it's definitely going to be a priority. So Bartek, before I let you go, one last thing tonight. If what happens that pisses you off? What would happen tonight that you would leave the draft saying, I can't believe this happened?
Leave you with a question afterwards too. Sure,
absolutely.
But okay, so one thing that will piss me off, I'm not gonna lie, if we don't go, like, okay, I'm positioned to be, I wouldn't mind if we go best available. I wouldn't be mad. I would honestly be, it's something that you can't really foresee, right? But I would say if we trade back, depending on who we get later, maybe I would feel a little bit like, damn, like, I know we're in a position where you could get more value, but at the same time, like what, you know what I mean? Are we also in a time frame right now where where we should be trading back? It's like, it just depends how it plays out, you know? I do hope they do go wide receiver. I'm not gonna lie, it'd be like, oh, I follow it enough to know exactly where, what the best position is gonna, let's say, value is gonna be at 28. But like I said, I like to do my research afterwards, because there's so many, endless possibilities of what could happen, that I'm like, okay, I'd rather just, once we know, then I start to look into the guys. But yeah, if we trade back, I'll probably be like, damn, especially because, we'll spend all that time watching, right? And then
that's what I'm saying. It's fine to be a little selfish, Bartek. It's fine. We want a damn pick tonight, for Christ's sake. I hear you.
We just leave you with a question. I'll let you be. But I'll still be watching. But I'll let you do your thing. I was gonna ask you two things. One, what your expectation is for today, what you think the Bills and Beans gonna do, and then two, just what's like your best, like, what for you, what's your best case scenario of what they do? And I'm assuming that maybe that's trading up or not, but yeah, I'm curious what your go-to is, and like, because you guys posted, Buffalo Fanatics posted Rico, Pierre, and all that, and Bobby, I think, and then I didn't see your picks in there. So I was
Rico's out here he's out here taking defensive tackles in round 1. I don't want to be a part of it. I said, get me the hell out of here. I don't want to be a part of this. No, truth be told, I didn't get the invite. So why don't you go ahead and give Rico up a call? You already bailed on me today and say, listen. I posted a mock draft on Twitter yesterday where we wound up getting the Broncos' first-round pick for next year and Odunze. So give me a call, Brandon Beane. Let me start orchestrating the moves here, right? But BT, to answer your question real quick, I think tonight my expectation is wide receiver. That's my expectation. And what would satisfy me is a damn wide receiver. I don't really know how else to put it. That's pretty much it. Bartek, have a great day, brother. We'll see you tonight.
I'll see you.
All right, take care. All right, Bartek, keeping it real, live from the observation deck. Bartek, he is the construction observer. So he's just got to sit there and make sure nobody dies. The problem is, if somebody winds up getting hurt, though, it's on Bartek's shoulders. So he's got to keep his eyes peeled. Let's go to BJ, who's been waiting patiently. BJ, my brother, what is happening? How are you today?
I'm doing all right, man. How about you, man? How's your day?
I'm doing good, man. The wait is over, and I'm just a little anxious and a little excited right now. How about you?
Man, I'm excited too, man. But the only thing, man, I put it like this, man. I've been a Bills fan since I was young. I'm an '83 baby. Man, we need impact players, man. We don't need to get no defense or have people to develop and all that. We need impact players. I'm talking about wide receivers and possibility trading up for one too. You know, my first instinct is to trade up for a wide receiver, and my second one is if you're going to trade back, get two wide receivers out the gate. Bam, bam, double dip, back to back, back
See,
to back.
that's how I feel. But do you see him doing that? That's the question.
Man, we got to do something unnormal because to me, I feel like throughout these whole, I've been a Bills fan, I've been watching them. I was the one that was saying, you know what, do what the Rams did and go all in. But we too damn conservative. We ain't won a damn championship yet. We need to go all in. When with the Rams dip, I mean, I'm not saying to do it. I'm not saying to do it now, but I'm just saying, like, we ain't won shit. Come on now. Oh, we want to be good for the future and don't do this, man. Bump all that. I feel like Bills Mafia, if they win one championship, man, we'd be happy as hell. You know what I'm saying? Just I feel like trade up, get that head busting wide receiver. You know?
I couldn't agree more. There's a lot of people who are very, very conservative when it comes to the draft capital, and they're very scared of giving up any potential lottery tickets that could be a late round guy developing this and that. They don't want to forego those for the opportunity to go and get a guy that might be that sure thing. And they really have not done that on the offensive side of the ball. And it looks to me like they're in a situation tonight where it's never been a better time to do it. That's why I feel like it is the time to do it. And if they don't, then I don't know when that time comes, because not only is it loaded with wide receiver talent, not only do they need one desperately,
yep,
also entering into this chapter now with their organization where this is going to be the potential face of the franchise as well, alongside Josh Allen. That's what Diggs was. People don't realize when you lose Diggs, you're not just losing the talent on the field. You're losing marketability. You're losing household names. You're losing guys that are putting asses in the seats for people that aren't necessarily diehard Bills fans. The Bills have Josh Allen right now as the face of the team, which, don't get me wrong, that's 10 times more than some other teams have. Like the New York Giants, for instance, they'd probably put Brian Dable up on the Sunday Night Football graph before they put Daniel Jones up there. So don't get it wrong. I mean, it's still, they're in a good spot. But this is what you're after. You want to go get that guy that's going to be the Robin to Josh Allen's Batman. And
I've been saying this too, Z-Bot. You got Sean McDermott. He's supposed to be this defensive guru. And we got that new defensive coordinator that coached the safety room, the linebacker room. What's his name? What's the new defensive coordinator we got?
Oh my God, Bobby Babbage.
Bobby Babbage. So you got two defensive good coaches. I say go with offense. Try something different, because what we did last time, man, that shit is not working, man. Give Josh Allen some weapons. You know what I'm saying? And let him cook. Let him cook.
I love it. BJ, thanks for the energy. Thanks for the passion. And for all of our sakes tonight, I hope we wind up getting all this done. I appreciate you calling in today.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, bro.
You too. Take care. Love that. BJ's passionate. And he's like a lot of us, man. It gets to the point when you just don't care what it takes to get it done. Just get it done. And I think that the argument being made around moving up and being aggressive is the fact that when you have a Josh Allen, and I've been arguing this to some degree, I do understand all elements here. I understand the conservativeness. I understand wanting to be able to protect the future, especially when the current moment right now is about uncertain as it's been under Josh Allen. I get all that. But there's something to be said about throwing all your chips in on the table when you already have one of the best hands in the deck with Josh Allen on your side. I do get all that. And when you're as desperate as we are for a championship, and you've been as close as you've been since the 90s as of late here, and you still can't get over that hump, a lot of people, including myself, ask themselves, is it time to go and take a major, make a major play here? It might be risky, but is it time to do a little bit more than we've done towards, an unprecedented type move in regard to how they've operated? We'll find out tonight. Let's go to Eri, who's waiting in the back here. Eri, what's happening, man? Happy draft day.
think I
How are
got
you?
you. All right, you're unmuted. I'm good, man. How's things?
Good. So I'm trying to read the tea leaves for tonight
Yes.
about what we're going to do. So I took a look at the current roster. Figure we've got like 44, 45 rosterable guys.
Mhm.
So that's about 8, 9 positions to fill. We have 10 picks. So, and then based on what Brandon Bean has done in the past, I think we kind of have to trade up a little bit. Trading back doesn't make sense. We don't need more assets unless we're going to do it in a later round.
Yeah, they're loaded up
So
in the late rounds. That's another good point, because if you're thinking about trading back, well, Brandon Bean's already got a backload of picks as it stands right now. But I mean, not in the third, and only one in the second. So I do get that, but I don't know if you're going to get for the pick 28, Uri. I don't know if you're going to get multiple second rounds to move up into the late first round. I don't see that happening. People keep saying, oh, they'll be able to double dip at these top end wide receivers in the second round. I don't really see who's giving up 2 second-round picks to move into the late first.
I think getting a third back would be nice, but it depends how the board falls. I think
Yeah.
if Brian Thomas Jr. is there at 15, 16, you can kind of package up some of those later picks together and move up a little bit. But I'm fine staying at 28. I don't think we need to trade back. I think there's going to be non-wide receiver positions available at 28 that'll be good. I think there's a lot of.
You would be all right non-wide receiver at 28 should that wind up going that way.
I think we can go Jackson Power Johnson if he's there. I'm not, we need bodies on D-line.
That's true.
We're all frothing at the mouth for a wide receiver, but I don't know, if it makes sense when we have other positions to fill.
And that's why I had said, the idea that Daniel Jeremiah brought up here about trading back and then double dipping immediately at wide receiver. I don't see Brandon Bean doing that. It doesn't feel like, with the positional needs that you just mentioned, that he's going to use his top 2 picks back to back at one position, especially when it's on the side of the ball that they have not exhausted resources like that towards. And there are other areas of need here. It's funny, right? I tell you, it feels like we have forgotten about all of them in pursuit of the wide receivers. I mean, especially going into tonight, it doesn't feel like any consideration is being given to anything else other than that. And I'm guilty of that because I don't see how they go into tonight not doing it. It's all we've heard. That to me is why it would be so shocking if it went another way. But if the board, like I mentioned earlier, if guys get swept off this board, in the late teens, early 20s, wide receiver, there's already 6 gone or whatever. If it feels like a reach to go 28 wide receiver when you can get an equal value in the second round, it would be fine with me depending on, like you said, how the board falls.
Yeah, especially if there's a run, if 7 or 8 wide receivers are coming off the board in the first, you're going to get a premium position other than wide receiver in the first round. So go and take it. There's so much talent there that there's going to be guys in the second. And I feel like the second tier guys, the Xavier Leggett, Worthy, and Nye Mitchell, like they're all pretty similar. Like there's not really a 2A, 2B. They're all kind of glommed together in the second tier. So
I agree.
I don't think there's a benefit of reaching for those guys. You can reach for Brian Thomas Jr. a little bit. I think he's kind of a fringe, first tier guy.
He seems to be that general consensus 4th guy after all because these 3 guys. The other thing too is the top 3 wide receivers. All 3 of them would be the first wide receiver off the board if the other 2 weren't in the draft. In every other draft, it just so happens that all 3 of these are stacked up. So that's not an indictment on Brian Thomas Jr. If it was a different draft, he could potentially be a top 10 pick if it weren't for Odunze, Harrison, and Neighbors being in all 3. So I'll finish this with it, Eri. You seem like you seem like there's multiple angles tonight for you to be satisfied at the end of the draft. What would be the ultimate satisfaction for you, though, the way tonight ends up going? What is the ideal scenario for you?
Rome Odunze falls to like 12 and we trade up and get him. That'd be primo, but it's not gonna happen. I don't see that happening.
The idea of him getting out of the top 10 to me is not feasible. But I'll say this: if it does happen, and then Bean doesn't make a phone call, it'll double down on my heartbreak. That's the unfortunate thing. If he does wind up slipping out of the top 10 and there isn't a move made, it'll be twice as bad. But I'm with you. That is my exact same sentiment. So, hey, who knows? Finger crossed. Maybe it happens. Eri, I appreciate you calling in. I hope you enjoy the draft tonight, my man.
All right. Thanks, Pat.
Take care. I liked Eri's sentiment there. He's very even keeled. And that's, I mean, you're looking at the king of even keeled, right? You know me. You ever tune into me after a loss? You know me, even keel, even playing field, never a little hot, never too high, never too low. That's the way you want to be right there. That's ideal fanhood right there. Right? Yeah, I'd be satisfied with multiple different players. I mean, that's how I wish I was more like that. I like to think I'm like that at times. During the season, it's much tougher to do that. Right? It's easier to do that in the offseason. During the season, it's a lot tougher to constantly have that even playing field, especially after seasons like last year where it's just constant anxiety, hoping to God something flips around the corner here. But I understand the ideology around not wanting to go wide receiver at 28 for the sake of going wide receiver at 28. But that's why my mindset has almost entirely been circulated around the idea of moving up. Because I feel like if you do wait to 28, then you were just willing to, you never really had the desire to lock in that wide receiver one to begin with. That's how that would read to me, whether it's wide receiver or not. If they get a wide receiver at 28, I got to be honest, to me, it's not going to read to me like that was ultimately their guy. You have almost the entire league picking ahead of you. You can't tell me Brandon Beane's top guy was the guy that just happened to fall to 28. I'm not buying it. With the amount of wide receivers in this draft, you're telling me the one guy that falls to 28 that they take is the one guy that he wanted. That's why I just feel like even if it's just moving up to 22 or something, a move up, not only does it get the guy that Brandon Beane's got his eyes set on, but I think it sends a message. It sends a message that this is what we wanted to do. This is who we wanted. This is what we wanted to unfold here. They did it last year. Because if they would have waited, Kincaid would have been gone. Dallas would have taken him. So if he falls to if Kincaid would have fallen to the Bills, it would have been the guy that they wanted, but he wasn't going to fall. Then whoever they would have taken outside of Kincaid, well, then you would have just been told, well, that's who they wanted all along anyway. That's the way it goes. Whoever you wind up getting is the guy they wanted all along, right? That's the bill of goods that everybody sold after the draft, no matter what. Now, that's the guy we always wanted. To me, it sends the message that you're getting the guy that you want by going and getting the guy that you want. Falling to 28, to me, it doesn't scream, yep, we knew it was going to happen like this all along. Then again, though, there's levels to it, because if there's a run in the early to mid-teens that was unforeseen and you already have 5 wide receivers gone by like pick 20 and Brian Thomas Jr. is one of them, then I'm in a different mindset. I'm not pounding the table to make a move up. If Brian Thomas Jr. is gone by like 20, right? Then I don't really know what the reason would be to move up. I feel like we will know, obviously barring a major trade up into the top 10 or 12 area. I would say if we get to like, I don't even know if I can say this with certainty because it just all depends on how the board falls. I was going to say if we get to like pick 20 or like pick like 17-ish, I would anticipate no trading up. But there's nothing really backing that, because it really just all depends on what ends up happening. I mean, we have no idea. But this idea of trading back and then double dipping, like I don't know what assets you're going to be getting that are going to be able to allow you to get the top end guys in the second round that are worthy of double dipping in it. Like the Bills have picked 28. What are they going to get from a team that wants to get up to 28? I don't know if you're getting a second and a third for that. 28's essentially, when you get to 28, you're essentially picking at the top of the second round. I mean, what's the difference? So I don't see somebody, there's no way anybody gives up 2 second rounds to move into 28. I don't really see anybody giving up a second and a third either. But if all these wide receivers are off the board and Brian Thomas Jr. was your guy and he's gone by then and you didn't make a move up, if the second and the third was on the table, I mean, yeah, I'd probably sign up for that. But if that's the way that they go, I don't see that second and third being used both on wide receivers. You know, as Eli was mentioning earlier, we have to think from the perspective of Brandon Beane. He's not going in there with the mindset of a fan thinking, we want this wide receiver, we want that wide receiver. He's got a roster to fill out here and multiple positional groups to fill out as well within that roster. That's why I don't think 2 wide receivers at the top is happening. I think there's going to be a double dip at wide receiver at some point. You start getting down to the 5th round, 4th round, they're going to take another wide receiver in addition to the one they take earlier. But the idea of getting one in the second and the third, I don't know. Dylan's saying best case scenario is a 2 and a 3. Yeah, that's how I see it. I still don't know who would be giving that up. I guess it depends. Like, say, for instance, the Vikings, they don't take quarterback early, and then they want to trade back up and get a Bo Nix, maybe. They trade up with the Bills to get Bo Nix in the late first round so that no one takes him in the early second and gets out from under him, something like that, maybe. But you'd have to have a pretty desperate team, in my opinion, to get to 28 in order to get a second and a third out of it. But second and a 4, you're saying, is more likely. I would agree with that. Tebow coming in. He's saying if the top 3 and Thomas are gone, take the best player available. I'd like Newbin. Then hit up Vikings, give them their second back, and take one of the top 2. Okay. So you're thinking if the top 3 obviously will be gone, and then Brian Thomas Jr. is gone, you're liking Newbin, the safety out of Minnesota, and then you want to trade back. You want to trade up earlier into the second and get one of those wide receivers. Okay. Newbin's interesting to me because in a lot of mock drafts, I've seen him go as high as where the Bills are at. I've also seen him fall into the late second round. So interesting. But he's one of my guys. I know for me personally, Newbin's the guy I want to target in on next. A lot of the mock drafts I've been doing, the Bills get their wide receiver in round 1, and they make a marginal trade up in the second round to get Newbin. They go from like 60 to like 45. He'd have to fall that far, but I've seen a lot of scenarios where he does. That would be ideal to me. I don't know if they have a first round grade on him or not, but I see where the ideology is coming from. And I think at the end of the day, the key that you're bringing up here is best available. And that's probably where I'm at. And if the scenario does occur where you can get a second and a third, I'd be willing to take best available in the second and also grab that third at that point if all the guys you were after on the wide receiver end of things are gone. Let's go to Alton, who's got a super chat coming in. He goes, what's good, bot? In Detroit for the draft. Come on. Jealous. Alton is in the Motor City getting ready to watch what Brandon Beane's got in store for us tonight. He's saying about to welcome a wide receiver tonight. Let's go, Buffalo. Shout out to Alton. Thanks for tuning in here while you're out live on the draft. That's amazing. And Alton's calling his shot. He's thinking he's going to watch a wide receiver become a Buffalo Bill tonight live and in person. Haven't been to the draft. I should have went to the one in Cleveland. I was going to go. I didn't end up going. That was my best chance. Cleveland's right down the road from Rochester. My best buddy lived there for a while. One of the I'm sorry, one of the more underrated cities ever. I freaking love Cleveland. I love Cleveland. In fact, I'll be going to Cleveland in October because to all the haters who shit on me all the time for my obsession with the Dave Matthews Band, hate no more. Just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is, of course, in Cleveland. So I'll be going to the inauguration concert in October. That's going to be awesome. Dave Matthews Band, Foreigner, Ozzy Osbourne. That's going to be killer. But that was the best chance I had to go to one from the local perspective. I'll definitely get to one at some point. They seem like they're a lot of fun. Lako's coming and saying, Zeba, thank you for all you do, go Bills. No, thank you guys. This has been a great run up until today. Seriously, we've been crushing. We've had so much to talk about. You guys have been coming in and joining me and Rico and all of us week in and week out for all of this craziness in the offseason. So I can't thank you guys enough. And especially this time of year when we have so much going on for the draft, you guys have shown nothing but love and support. And it's been an absolute ball. And we really look forward to hanging out with you tonight because, like I keep saying, and a lot of you guys are sharing the same sentiment as I am. It's one of the bigger drafts in some time for these Bills. So really looking forward to watching how it all unfolds together. Tyler's coming in and he's saying, Zeba, what about an in-division trade with the Patriots? And the Patriots go after the QB if they get Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3. So you're saying the Bills trading up to 3? There's no way. Let me reread this just to make sure that's what you're saying. Zeba, what about an in-division trade with the Patriots? The Patriots go after the QB. Oh, no. Okay. I see what you're saying. You're talking about the Patriots trading up to 28. Oh, that's interesting. So you know what? That's interesting. It's pretty much the exact point I just made with the Vikings. So you're saying the Patriots take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3 instead of taking Drake May. And then they trade back up into the first round at 28 to get like a Bo Nix or maybe a Michael Penix. I don't think he'll be there. I think Penix is going to be gone earlier. But interesting. Yeah, no, I mean, fill in the blank there, honestly, Tyler, whether it's the Patriots or whoever else. That could be the only real scenario in my mind that would warrant a team giving up more than you would expect to get into 28 to go and get, because Bo Nix is going to be that final quarterback that's going to be gone by the early second round. And there's going to be some team out there that's desperately trying to upgrade at the position without the assets to currently cement that upgrade. And, you know, Bo Nix is he's hopefully going to be that guy for some team, and some teams are going to be willing to overpay for it. So that could be a scenario where if the Bills do get to 28, they end up trading back. The Juice Man, 88. He's saying, I got hope the Bills will be trading with Chicago. Their first this year, second this year, a late fourth, and a Minnesota second year to jump to 9. Ooh, I haven't seen this scenario. So you're saying to get to 9 with the Chicago Bears and draft Rome Odunze, the Bills would give up pick 28, pick 60 this year in the second round, a late fourth round this year, and then Minnesota second round next year, which will more than likely be a top half second round pick. I don't know if the Bears would do that. The reason I say that is because I feel like there could be another team that would be willing to just give up their first next year. I'd sign up for this. I think. I want that second round pick this year, though. It feels like first round and second round this year are going to be automatic starters. I don't know if we can part with the second round pick this year. But I guess they could trade one of next year's second round picks to get back into the second round. I don't know. I'd probably do this. I don't know if the Bears would, though. I feel like the Bears are going to want that first round pick. GQ Bob coming in with a big boy. Appreciate you, GQ. Much love on a draft day. What do you got to say for me? The Bills take the aggressive route and get into the top 12 and grab the top 3 receiver on their board. Or there is a run at wide receiver and they stay put at 28 and then trade back and grab 2 early second rounders and double dip and grab 2 wide receivers like Leggett or Lad McConkey if available. GQ, I'm loving the idea. This is my dream scenario. Would be that. Truth be told, that these 2 scenarios are my dream scenarios. Trade up and get Odunze, or somehow find a way to get the assets from a team trading into 28 with the Bills to move back and get two of those type of wide receivers, two of those higher end second tier guys. I don't know if, like we were just talking about, I don't know if the compensation is going to be there to be able to do that for pick 28. But regardless, that's my dream scenario. If there was a team desperate enough to get back to 28 and get a guy like Bo Nix or something like that, I mean, I'd be all over it. I'd be all over it. Because I feel like once you get to 28, the talent gap is very marginal between that and the second round talent at wide receiver. And because of that, if you're able to go and do that double dip, why wouldn't you sign up for it? But like I keep saying, a couple of things stand in the way for me there. It's the ability to be in a position to get those two type of wide receivers in the second round. And it's also Brandon Beane's willingness to do it. I don't know if he just spends his two top picks this year on the same position. The one thing that's felt more like fan fiction than anything else to me during the conversations about the draft this offseason, it's been the idea of this back-to-back pick at wide receiver. Because I just can't for the life of me see Brandon Beane going back-to-back on the offensive side of the ball at the same position with his top two picks. It just does not seem like it is in his wheelhouse. It doesn't seem like that's his mantra at all. But nonetheless, GQ, those are two scenarios that I would certainly sign up for if that were to be what ends up occurring tonight. I will say, though, I do want to see a pick tonight. Well, I'll say this, I guess, instead. If they're going to trade back, I hope it's earlier on in the night so I don't sit around with the anticipation, like, who the hell are they going to get? Who the hell are they going to get? What are they going to do? And then, it gets to like pick 25 and then the Bills trade back. That would suck. But if we're at like pick 12 and a team that's already, or maybe even later than that, let's say we're at like pick 15 and a team that's already picked wants to get back into the first round. Problem is, you're not going to see a team try and trade back up into 28 that early in the draft. They're going to want to see how things fall first. So I guess inevitably, if the Bills do trade back, it probably won't be until they get closer and closer to their pick. But the idea of sitting around all night stressing about who the guy is going to be and then trading back. Bills fan he was wondering, he goes, over under on quarterbacks is 4.5. He believes. And with that, it's a great question because we were talking about draft props all week long, and I just found it over here on BetUS. They have the draft prop for over under on the quarterback position right now, and it is a heavy favorite, Bills fan 7883, a heavy favorite to be at least 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round. The current line right now on BetUS is over 4.5 at minus 400. We talked about this a bit yesterday. I see it obviously being Caleb Williams, Daniels, Drake May, and then I think that you're going to see J.J. McCarthy as well up towards the top 10, if not well within it. And then I think Michael Penix Jr. is going within the top 20. The bigger question to me, it's not necessarily the 4.5. I think it's the question is the 5.5. Does Bo Nix end up going in the first round? Like we were just talking about a minute ago about the idea of the Bills trading back with a team that might want to get into the late first to take Bo Nix. It's interesting because Bo Nix is going to be gone by at least pick 40, you would imagine. Is some team going to go a little bit, are they going to dedicate a little bit more capital than anticipated to be able to secure him before somebody else does in the early second? But as it stands right now, over under 4.5. How about there's not going? This is an interesting prop to me, by the way. Speaking of just over-unders on positional groups, there's not going to be a first-round running back this year. The days of that are done. I mean, the fact that this is at plus 700, minus 600, 1,600 rather. for no running back to go in the first round. We are in a new era of the NFL where the days of taking your shot on a running back in the first round, they're just done. It's funny, like it never used to be that way, and then all of a sudden that's all it was, and this is what it's gotten to now, where it's a near impossibility for a running back to go in the first round. The way it's set right now on BetUS, it's going to be a very offensive heavy first round of the draft. The line right now is currently set at over under 21 and a half offensive players, with the defensive side of things only being over under 9.5. So it's anticipated that the offensive side of the ball could more than double the amount of defensive picks in the first round. So it's going to be a very offensive-oriented draft, and you have to imagine that the Bills are going to be a part of this over-under 21 offensive player prop as opposed to the defensive side of things. We'll find out tonight. I know there's plenty of people out there who think the Bills could shock the world and go defense at 28. I don't see it, but even outside of the Bills, it's offensive heavy this round in the draft. So a lot of great props here, as you well know, here on BetUS. And you can go and get in on them right now via the link in the description below and take advantage of the 125% deposit match up to $2,500 on your first 3 deposits using the promo code JOIN125. So you put $500 in, you get $1,250 to play with, 24-hour payouts, 24/7 customer service. And I'm also still giving away that $125 in free play. So you have about, what is it? You got about 6 hours or so now to DM me a screenshot of your BetUS account before the draft starts. If you do that, $25 free play, and you can get in on all of these awesome props from BetUS. No other sportsbook has this, by the way. I've been looking everywhere for just to see what the options are out there, different draft props. This is absurd, the amount BetUS has. So go take advantage. Quick word from BetUS before we wrap things up, and quick preview about what's in store for you tonight here on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
All right, so we are about 6.5-ish hours from the draft starting. It starts at 8. Now, I wonder, I forget how things went last year. The Bills picked right around the same spot last year. Do you guys remember? Let me know in the chat. Do you remember what time the Bills ended up putting their pick in? I don't know what time we should anticipate, should the Bills stay at 28, of course. I wonder what time we should anticipate a pick being made around that area. Probably like what? 11? So I keep saying 6.5 hours to the draft, but more than likely we are like 8 hours or so at least from the Bills pick. Mark's saying 11 p.m. ish Eastern. That's what I'm thinking. So that's probably when we see the Bills pick, but that's not including the trade up. We shall see. I just can't wait to find out finally. All this talk. It's funny how we can just sit for months and speculate, and then within one moment, all that goes to the wayside, and you finally find out. And we're this close. So tonight, folks, as I keep mentioning, we would love to have you. Please come out and join us on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel. We are streaming live the duration of the first round. Every pick live right here on the channel, with live graphics, live commentary. I think we even got the little jingle. We got it all. Me, Rico, Pierre, all the boys. We will be hanging. We'll be drinking. We'll be hopefully celebrating. We'll be having a ball. And we hope you end up joining us tonight to usher in potentially this next era of the Buffalo Bills. I can't wait to find out, and I can't wait to see you tonight right here, right where you're at right now on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel, for a live stream of the first round of the NFL draft. Much love, everybody. Enjoy draft day. We'll see you later tonight. And as always,